Let's go, 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 go. And we're live, guys. Welcome to another edition of CryptoBanter.com. We are, of course, coming to you straight out of Cape Town, South Africa, and we do this show each and every day at 10 a.m. EST. Yet I come to you like an atomic and every day at 10 a.m. EST. How are you guys this amazing, this incredible, this wonderful Wednesday morning? I love Wednesday mornings. And I love seeing the show. Today we've got a huge show. We've got an emergency on the markets, or have we got an emergency in the markets? And we've got a guest with us, and that, of course, is Ivan on Tech. Ivan, welcome to CryptoBanter.com.
Perfect. Good to be here, Ran, and big shout out to your community. I see the chat rolling already on your YouTube. So guys, smash the like up for Ran. Let's share his channel everywhere, especially if you come from my Telegram. Let's show appreciation for Ran for hosting us. Share it everywhere, smash it, and comment everything. We have a lot to discuss. As you know, Yellen, markets are dipping a bit. We're going to go into ETH, into Bitcoin, into everything. And then also in the middle of the show, you can call in. I told in my Telegram, guys, soon you will be able to call in. So stay tuned for that.
Yes, of course. As I said, one day before Joe Biden gets inaugurated, we get Janet Yellen talking about having to put more regulations into crypto, and I think that's crazy. I also want to talk to you about the fundamentals behind Ethereum. There's some new fundamental data that we got around Ethereum, and if you have been watching the show, you know we're all about fundamentals. Today, we've got some data that will show you why ETH is very, very, very undervalued. And then we've got Grayscale on a buying spree. Yeah, Grayscale is going buying. We're going to look at what they're buying, how much they're buying, and what that means, whether we should go ahead of them. And then we're going to talk to Ivan about how to build a 100x crypto portfolio, because I want to know how you built your 100x crypto portfolio. And then we're going to banter. We're going to do what this station is all about, and we're going to get you guys to call in with the best. So Ivan, before we start the show, man, tell them what they need to do.
In terms of what? Smash the like as soon as possible. Like, subscribe, bell button, all. 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 Number 1, smash the like as soon as possible. Number 2, smash the subscribe button, the bell button and all, the bell button and all, the bell button and all. It's a very, very important algorithm, and literally if you do this, Bitcoin will be pumped, 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 Bitcoin will be pumped by YouTube.
And all if you want your crypto bags pumped. Alrighty, Ivan, let's get on with the show. I know that you saw the Janet Yellen video. I want to show our viewers what Janet Yellen said about cryptocurrencies. And this is, remember, one day before Bitcoin Biden comes into power. And I want to talk about why I call him Bitcoin Biden in a second. But let's take a listen to this.
Cryptocurrencies are a particular concern. I think many are used, at least in a transactions sense, mainly for illicit financing. And I think we really need to examine ways in which we can curtail their use and make sure that anti-money laundering doesn't occur through those channels.
Oh, no. What do you make of that?
She's salty. As I told on my YouTube channel, she's salty because of that buy Bitcoin sign. I don't know if you remember. exactly. I think she's very salty. It's a personal matter. But on a more serious note, it's also the fact that, of course, she is sponsored by the banks. We just covered this morning the speaking fees she's been getting. It's in hundreds of thousands of dollars per engagement. So, of course, she's not really on our team. I don't think she's on our team. And we could potentially see more action from the new administration that we've seen in the past. Now, I know that you think that Joe Biden is Bitcoin Joe. We can discuss that. But in terms of regulation, you know, the last administration, Trump administration, they have been quite okay. We haven't seen a lot of, new harsh regulation at all. And I was quite surprised. Sometimes it was even good from their side. But I think you have another opinion, as you think that Bitcoin Joe is going to enter. Well, so it's going to be very interesting to follow. I think we will expect some resistance. I think it's normal to expect. Also, I don't know if you follow this, but now they're trying to tie Bitcoin to the Capitol riots. Have you been following that? There's this news coming out now that, hey, they were funded by Bitcoin. They used Bitcoin. They're taking action, in my mind. Let's see.
Yeah, so what worries me about this is that this is Janet Yellen, and she's the head of the Treasury, or the proposed head of the Treasury. And she's come out against crypto. And if you listen to what she said, just let's take a read of what she actually said. She said, this is the important part. This is what I'm looking at. I think cryptocurrencies are used, at least in a transaction sense, mainly for illicit financing. And I think that we really need to examine ways in which we can curtail their use and make sure anti-money laundering doesn't occur. She doesn't say over there, she doesn't say curtail their use in illicit activities, but she says we need to find a way to curtail their use.
Yeah.
Does that not worry you? I mean, this is the head of the Treasury.
Well, we have to understand that we've seen this fad all over again. We've seen it many times in the past. It's not the first time that we see regulators going wild. We've seen Sherminator a few years back in 2018 saying that he will nib Bitcoin in the bud. And while something I'm sure will happen sooner or later, I think Bitcoin already is prepared for that. I think that partially is already priced in because everyone who enters crypto understands that this is still new. We might see new regulation. We might see new good regulation, bad regulation. So in one way, I do think it's priced in because when people do the risk analysis, they need to price in the uncertainty that regulation is. And while long term, I don't think it really matters because Bitcoin is global. You cannot stop it. Short term, of course, it would have a big impact on the price. I think short term, absolutely. So let's hope that she does it in 2022 during the bear market. So she doesn't mess with our bull market. Let's see. But I think it's expected. We need to expect something, It's not like we're gonna have a whole new financial ecosystem without any resistance. The traditional finance guys, they're just gonna lay on their back and not do anything.
Yeah, look, I must say, I'm not really expecting too much. And the reason why I'm not expecting too much is because, as you know, I call this guy Bitcoin Biden, and he's getting sworn in today. And there's a reason why I call him Bitcoin Biden, because I think without even trying, he's going to be the best Bitcoin president in the world. Without even trying, without even wanting to do it. And I'll tell you where I see the clues. The first thing is this guy loves stimulus. Apparently, since the day he was elected, what they've been doing is servicing the money printing machines, the brrr machines. They've been oiling and replacing new parts because they know when he comes in, it's going to be brrr. So I think that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that he appointed this guy as the head of the SEC. And this is Gary Gensler. And I mean, he is an MIT professor. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. He is an MIT professor. So, I mean, that's definitely a great step forward for Bitcoin. That's happening already under the Biden administration. I don't think we can get anything better than that.
Well, I think in terms of stimulus and the expansion of the monetary supply, it will continue. Even Janet Yellen said yesterday that she wants to go big. She wants to go big on stimulus. Interest rates now are low, so they should do it as soon as possible. I do agree there. But how do you mean in terms of Bitcoin, Joe? You think he will support Bitcoin or just indirectly be good for Bitcoin through stimulus? Because there I agree as well. There I agree as well. And the stock market, I'm sure, will do good as well because of that. But do you think that they will actually have good, sensible regulation that makes sense, or adversary regulation, or they're just gonna let crypto grow on its own?
I think they're going to have good regulation. I think the regulation is going to be driven by Gary Gensler. I think by the mere fact that he is an MIT professor of blockchain, he knows what blockchain is about. And I think we can expect responsible regulation. I think he knows the difference between centralized and decentralized. He knows the difference between securities and currencies and commodities. I've heard some of his lectures, and that's exactly what he talks about. So for me, I think we can expect responsible regulation. Combine that with stimulus, and I think we're well on the way to an amazing Biden era. Also, I mean, going back to Yellen's comments, she says it's used in illicit activities. Now, I know you know this, and I'm not sure that she knows this, but according to Chainalysis, I think that there's been a huge reduction on the amount of illicit activities done using Bitcoin. I'm sure
it went from 2% last year to 0.34% this year. And she says, most of the activity is illicit, but it's 0.34% of all Bitcoin transactions, according to research. Now, she did not base her opinion on research. She just pulled it out of somewhere, but research is 0.34%.
Yeah, so she scares me a little bit, I must say, but the Biden administration doesn't scare me a little bit. But you know what? Let's see what happens. Today is the big day, the inauguration day of Joe Biden, the virtual inauguration of Joe Biden. One thing that really upsets me is that if you look at all these people that Joe Biden is surrounding himself, other than Kamala Harris, they're all about 97 years old. I'm worried that Janet Yellen and Joe Biden won't even make the 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that definitely will play a huge role, this generational gap. And while on my channel, I have all kinds of people from all kinds of ages, from boomer generation, even before boomer generation, I have people watching me, and Gen Z, Gen X, it's also the fact that when you have younger people coming to power, they will bring adoption from the technologies that they grew up with. So that's very, very key. And that will only accelerate. That's why the future of crypto looks very, very good, because it will be an exponential acceleration. It will be easier for us to get good regulation, to get ETFs and so on and so forth, whatever we want, when younger people enter the places of power, and that will be an exponential growth in the adoption, in regulations that make sense, as you say, and so on and so forth. But right now, I agree. Right now, I don't think they even use the internet that much. For example, in Sweden, we have a prime minister who hasn't even used the smartphone in a while, so it's very interesting. Yeah.
Right. Listen, interesting times, and I think that this rally is being driven not by the young people, but actually by the institutions, and that's really what I want to take a look at right now. Let's look at Grayscale's buying spree. I know that you've been looking at Grayscale, and these guys have been buying like crazy. In fact, let's get the numbers up on the screen here. We can see that in the last 7 days, Grayscale has bought 26,120 Bitcoin. Now, in 7 days, we mine about 6,300 Bitcoin. And Grayscale has gone out and bought 26,120 Bitcoins. Now, that's not really an accurate statistic, because remember that the Bitcoin Trust was closed. They weren't taking applications. They've got a huge backlog of applications. In fact, I spoke to someone there yesterday, and they said they're about 3 to 4 weeks behind on processing applications from new clients. So I think we can expect more buying to come from Grayscale. And for as long as Grayscale is buying, I don't think the Bitcoin price can go down.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the reasons why I think we'll have an ETF also, because everyone now is buying Grayscale. And Grayscale, while it's a good product, at the same time, I think the regulators see that there needs to be an even better product. And ETF is always better than a fund like Grayscale, because there you truly separate the issuer from the funds. And in reality, you don't want a market like we have right now with Bitcoin, where institutions, funds, they need to buy proxies. They need to buy MicroStrategy to get exposed to Bitcoin. Many people buy MicroStrategy not because of the business, but because it's kind of like a Bitcoin fund. That's why the stock goes up so much. And you can buy Grayscale. I mean, that they truly have amazing product, but the premiums are so huge. So people are overpaying all the time with GBTC. So I think that's one of the reasons why ETF is inevitable at this point. They either have to say, look, Bitcoin is really something we don't want at all in any way, which I don't think will happen. Instead, with, for example, the new head of the SEC, as you say, we could instead see an ETF. That is basically a must. Very, very soon, it's a must. Because what happens is that people invest in more risky vehicles for Bitcoin. So investment vehicles. So one of them is, for example, we have an ETN. It's called Bitcoin XBT ETN. You can buy it on the stock market in Europe. It's basically like a stock, but it follows the Bitcoin price. But if these guys get hacked, or they get exit scam, or they lose the key, it's game over. Within ETF, you have way more protection as an investor. I think more and more regulators are seeing that, and they will push for ETF within probably this year. Let's hope.
It must happen this year, and especially with Gary Gensler as the head of the SEC. I mean, it would be very strange if a blockchain professor didn't allow for a Bitcoin, at least a Bitcoin ETF. Look, I love the Grayscale product, and I think Grayscale has done a lot for the industry. But what Grayscale is actually doing is taking accredited investors and allowing them to buy at net asset value. And then people who are not accredited investors, the smaller investors, paying a huge premium to buy Bitcoin, sometimes even up to 70 or 80%. The other thing is that if you buy, for example, in the Litecoin Trust or in the Ethereum Trust, and you get airdrops, they don't give the airdrops or distribute the airdrops to the token holders. So, example, if you buy into the BTC or the BTC, the Litecoin Trust, the Grayscale Litecoin Trust, and there's a flare airdrop coming up, effectively you don't get any benefit from that. And that really impacts the small investors. Small investors paying huge premiums. I don't know if you've seen, but sometimes on Litecoin, you can pay up to 100, 200, 300% premiums, even 1,000% premiums just to buy Litecoin via this mechanism.
Well, but it's a huge use case. The use case is that many people have their pension accounts, they have their other investment accounts where the tax is low, or in some cases almost zero. And if you buy Bitcoin through the bank, through your investment broker, and you use those accounts, so in Sweden we have one called the ISK. I know there's Roth IRA in the US and probably other such accounts in other countries. But it's just a huge tax incentive. Okay, so instead of buying real Bitcoin and you pay full capital gains, you need to go through your broker, and it's not a lot of choices. Basically, MicroStrategy or Grayscale, but it's a huge premium. So an ETF has to come.
It has to come, and it will come this year. Guys, I'm watching the comments. The comments are going absolutely crazy. Thank you, guys. If you either hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Ivan, you've got an amazing community. They're all here today, and they're posting.
Nice.
Awesome, guys. Thank you. That's amazing. I want to talk to you a little bit about Ethereum, and that is because Grayscale is not buying Ethereum yet. The Ethereum Trust is closed. They haven't started taking applications for the Ethereum Trust. And when they do, it's going to push Ethereum to even further all-time highs. Yesterday, we saw Ethereum touching the all-time high, but then it pulled back, and I don't think it actually closed over the all-time high. I may be wrong, but on some exchange, it never closed into the all-time high. For me, Ethereum right now is the biggest no-brainer, because we know that the entry drug into crypto from people like MicroStrategy, Roll Paul, and Lynn, et cetera, those guys are buying Bitcoin first. They come in as Bitcoin maximalists, and then they start buying Ethereum. You know, and the penny dropped for Roll Paul the other day. And I want to show you something that I've pulled out. So I'm a fundamentals guy. As you can see, I don't pull out the charts, and I haven't looked at the charts. I leave that up to the chartists, and we've got a chartist coming on later today. But let's look at the fundamentals. So if you remember, or if you know, we've been valuing crypto based on Metcalfe's law. And Metcalfe's law is a very simple law around network effects. And it said that the value of a network is equal to the square of the number of participants, which means that the more adoption there is of a network, the value of the network actually increases exponentially. And we've been talking about that on our channel for a long time. So I pulled out the value of the Bitcoin versus Ethereum network. And if you look at the total market cap of Bitcoin, a few minutes ago, it was about $650 billion. Ethereum was about $150 billion. But then I went and analyzed the transaction volumes. Ethereum is doing about 4 times the number of transactions that Bitcoin is doing. Of course, the value of an Ethereum transaction is much smaller, the average value, because people are using it for DeFi trades and small trades, where with Bitcoin, people are moving around big amounts of money. But the main thing that you need to look at here is the active addresses. And then again, that's taking you back to this Metcalfe's law, which is that the value of a network is equal to the number of participants or the number of addresses to the square. And that's where this gets really, really interesting. Look here. So if you look at the number of active addresses on Bitcoin, 897,000. And the same active number of addresses yesterday on ETH was 679,000. So if you look at a network or Metcalfe ratio, you see that ETH should be at about 0.32 divided by 0.8. So it should be about, Bitcoin should be about 2.5 times the value of ETH. And that means that Ethereum is very, very, very undervalued at the moment. What are your views here? What's a better trade?
Yeah. So speaking about the Metcalfe's law, I heard a very interesting thought the other day from Michael Saylor, where he said that Metcalfe's law is important, but you have to also consider that not all participants are equal. In Bitcoin, you have a whale joining, he's like 10 normal guys. Or you have an institution joining. That means more than just the average market participant. So that was quite interesting. Which means that we probably need a better model than Metcalfe's law. But I do agree that it's a good model, just as getting a basic understanding of the participants' valuation. Metcalfe's law plus the transaction volume makes sense. And I do agree with you that in my mind also it has bigger potential. And primarily because banks will have to use it on the back end. They will have to use it. Why? Because it will be the biggest capital market in the world because it's open. So all countries, all institutions in different countries will transact using DeFi. All lending, all borrowing, all mortgage, all of that will be in DeFi. So when you have a global market like this, where it's free, it's open to participate. You don't have to be a customer in some kind of bank or somewhere to participate. It will be bigger. That capital market will be inherently bigger than all other capital markets. We have already real estate on the blockchain through companies like Realty. All bonds, derivatives we have now as well through Synthetics and other projects. So we have to understand that DeFi is going to be the largest capital market. Now, as a bank, of course, you want to have access to the largest capital market in order to be able to trade the most important opportunities for your clients, in order to not get slippage, in order to be part of the global financial system. You need to get access to the global financial market, and that is going to be DeFi. Now, if you've been following the news, on January the 4th, we did see an announcement from the OCC in the US that banks are now allowed to handle stable coins. They can transact in stable coins, they can hold stable coins. And most people see it just for transactions. They say, okay, now banks can transact quicker. Instead of using SWIFT, you can use USDT, USDC. That's one part of the story, because the second part of the story is that now banks with stablecoins can actually interact with DeFi. I mean, that's, in my mind, the biggest thing. It's not just that you can do faster transactions, that's good, but the fact that banks can now, through stablecoins, interact with DeFi. And I think that's going to be the next step, that they start integrating it, because at the end of the day, you're not part of DeFi, you're not part of the biggest market. It's kind of like today, we have nations who are not part of the global financial system because the US has sanctioned them. When you sanction a country, you really shut them from all financial ecosystem. And it's very difficult to invest in the global growth of the world if you cannot access your American markets. And you really handicap a country by shutting them off from the US markets. DeFi is going to be like that. DeFi is going to be 10 times bigger, 100 times bigger than the US markets because it's global and anyone can participate. So in my mind, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing with Ethereum. That's the biggest thing that we need to keep an eye. It is the backbone of all banking, and you don't even need banks. That's the thing, but you can just use it straight without banks. But banks will still be there because most people, they will not handle their own private key, do their ledger. I mean, we are maybe one generation from that. So there will still be this middleman in terms of banks, and they will have a DeFi on the back end. So I totally agree with you. And in terms of how high ETH can go, I use the derivatives estimation. When you look at all store of value in the world, it is approximately 20 trillion. So Bitcoin has potential of going to 20 trillion if it is to absorb all of store value in the world. You look at derivatives, we're talking about 600 trillion. And I have a full video on that on my channel where I break it down. And all in all, fundamentally, Bitcoin Ethereum can reach a price per coin at $50,000 based on the current amount of coins, because then you basically, we backtrack. We go from 600 trillion for all derivatives, and we see maybe ETH gets only 5% of that market, and that would give ETH a price of $50,000. So that's very important to look at the potential.
The derivatives market is always at least 100 times better than the underlying market. Now, Bitcoin is one underlying asset. It's basically a store of value. Whereas Ethereum can create derivatives on anything, including Bitcoin. In fact, I think whereas the banks may store value in Bitcoin, they're not going to have smart contracts and derivatives on the value in Bitcoin. They're going to build that on Ethereum. And that's going to make a huge impact on the Ethereum price. And I think, look, I'm not going to call a number like 50,000, 100,000. I think that's a little bit crazy. But I do think that there's much more value in Ethereum than there is in Bitcoin.
But okay. Here is how. But I know that people love numbers. That's why I also don't know. But looking at different statistics, at models, we can bring some kind of number. So I'm bringing out 50K, and the reason is because look, we are already at 1.4. If we snap to all-time high, which we already did yesterday, but we did not close it. As soon as we close, the way to 3K will be quick, just like Bitcoin. It went to all-time high and then snapped to 40K, 42K. So ETH will do the same. So if you can imagine ETH going to 10K, which is not that impossible. I mean, if we are already in February at 4K, going to 10K at the end of the bull market is not impossible. So I think many people can consider ETH at 10K. Can you consider ETH at 10K?
Easily.
Okay. So let me continue. Because the thing is, at the end of the market, we go nuts. Like the last week, we have this insane parabola. So whatever people feel is reasonable, I think you just need to multiply it by 4 or 5, because that's going to be like the last, the peak of the bubble. Just like in 2018, also, people saw Bitcoin at 10, Ethereum at 1K, and it all accelerated during the last few weeks. So that's the thing. The last weeks of parabolic move are always the biggest. So when I look at what people consider reasonable, they say I'm at 10K, 8K. I multiply it a few times because it's going to be a parabolic run. And then also you have to get out, because then we're going to have a bear market. So I'm speaking about like the highest point we can reach in this bull market without being too crazy. I don't think 50K is too crazy based on what I said, because it's going to be exponential like the last few days. Go watch on all crypto charts from 2017. You see like the last few days, weeks, it's mind blowing. But also it ends quickly. You got to get out quickly there.
Yeah. Also remember the human brain thinks linearly. The human brain struggles to think in exponents. Humans don't naturally understand the power of compound interest. And that's really the power of exponential. People don't understand it. We think, as humans, we're taught to think linearly. So we can imagine a Bitcoin price that increases at the same rate that it increased in the past. Same thing with Ethereum. Like you said, what is the parabola? Parabola is human emotions.
Yes.
Why does it happen at the end? Because people at the end of a parabola realize that you can go up by more than $1,000 at a time on one candle. That's really what you're charting. That's exactly what you're charting. And so I think that, like you said, I think the parabolas are where it gets very interesting. And I think that 50,000 for ETH is not a big number. What do you think? So we know that Bitcoin has a network effect. We know Ethereum has the network effect. What happened? Who's next? Cardano, Polkadot?
Well, Polkadot, for sure. And by the way, guys, we will release a video on my channel as well with Ran. We discussed it a bit there, but Polkadot, they already have a network effect. They're funding all kinds of projects, and the coins actually pump. The coins that say we're going to be on Polkadot, there is no Polkadot. They launch on ETH and they pump already. So you have already network effect there. Cardano potentially, I mean, Cardano community is strong. Now we need Cardano development community, which I haven't really seen, but hopefully it will be big as well. But then there is not a lot of other things that are, truly global and can have this effect like Ethereum has right now with the banks. Polkadot can have it if they can start having a bridge and they can take capital from Ethereum. The same with Cardano. They need to be interoperable because nobody will install their wallet and transfer funds if it is the case that that you need to do from scratch. If I can easily transport from my MetaMask into Polkadot, perfect. From my MetaMask into Cardano, there needs to be an easy bridge. Okay, so yeah, those are the two that I'm looking at. And other than that, in terms of other opportunities, I look at smaller coins. I'm not that excited about coins that are in the top 30, top 20. There are many blue chip amazing DeFi projects like Aave, Kyber. Oh, you want to discuss it later? Yeah, we can discuss it later.
So what I do is, I break up my portfolio into three parts. I have what I call the HODL portfolio. In my HODL portfolio, I've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, and US dollars. And the reason I do that is because these guys have already got the network effect. Then what I do is I have a 10x portfolio, which is the safer coins. And my portfolio looks something like that. I've also got Luna Finance in there, but something like that. Nice. And then I've got what I call the life changes. The life changes are the 10x coins. And I have a very small part of my portfolio in that. But that's the part that actually makes me all the money, and you start off with something that does 100x and then it becomes a very significant part of your portfolio. I imagine that your portfolio looks the same.
Yes, it's a bit more weighted towards the HODL and a bit more towards the 100x's. I mean, as I told you, I don't have as much there in the middle. And the vast majority of my portfolio is in the HODL. It's the vast one. And I always say I never have more than 1-2% in each alt. But also I'm speaking about the small alts like 10 million market cap, 20 million, 30 million. And those small alts are the ones that have been performing the best for me. Those are also the ones that I know most about and that I can really, because there you can truly be part of a journey that is just starting. With the bigger one like Elrond, and the ones you had like SushiSwap and others, they're a bit too big for me because everyone is interested. I don't like that too much, but everyone loves those alts. Everyone who's in alts, they have a bit of Elrond. Although I have Elrond myself as well, and it has been performing well. Just what I prefer are this a bit smaller ones, but also it's way more risk, and you have to be way more careful. So that's how I would say generally. And then practically, if you've been watching my channel, especially you guys in the chat, you know that one of the coins we've been hodling quite nicely during 2020 has been DAGDAO, performed more than 10x in the past few months. TrustSwap, that one is like 50x or something. We've had many other successes. A bit bigger coins, UTrust has been doing so well, and they're only in the beginning, I think.
Let's take a step back. What percentage of your portfolio currently sits in your HODL portfolio? Mine is about 60% in the HODL. 30% in the 10x and then 10% in the 100x. What does yours look like?
Yeah, mine is bigger. I have approximately 80 in the HODL. So I have way more weighted towards HODL 80 and then 20 in alts. And then I would say that it's half 50-50. That 50% of the remaining 20% is in the bigger ones, and then the rest 10% is in those small life-changing, sometimes a bit degen ones. But look, we are in crypto. The risk is already high, so to increase the risk a bit, and if the returns match up, it makes sense for me, 100%. But yeah, we can go deeper if you want into different alts.
Well, amazing. So talking about alts, I've got our man, Bitcoin Brown. Not Bitcoin Brown, I've got Mr. Biz on today. Now, Mr. Biz, Ivan, I don't know if you know Mr. Biz or follow Mr. Biz on Twitter, but every time he comes on our show, he gives us 10. Literally, he comes on our show, things double and things double and things double. Mr. Biz, welcome back, man.
Well, thanks for having me back, guys. As always, it's a pleasure. Can everybody hear me clearly? Just want to make sure of that.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of feedback. I think your speaker is maybe feeding back into your mic, but I think we can live with it. If you can make it better, that would be great.
I'll try my best. Is that a little better?
Yeah. Okay. So what I want to talk to you guys about now is I really want to focus on the 100x life changes. So this is where we put a very small part of our portfolios and where we expect to make 100x's. Keen to hear from you guys where you think the next 100x is coming from. I've got some ideas. Maybe Mr. Biz or maybe Ivan, who wants to go first and give us an idea for a coin that may have 100x potential?
Are you saying that it's on the way from 100x, or you mean from right now 100x?
I mean, it's on the way to 100x. I think it's very difficult to call something now that's going to do 100x from now. But I'm talking about the guys that have started small.
Ferrum Network is going to 100x.
Yeah. Ferrum Network.
Yeah, I will say.
I mean, I'm.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Biz.
And I'll say Ferrum Network just because it's for me it's a 50x. So another 2x, it'll be a 100x. You know, I think MPH, my boy Capo from Spectre called it at $10. So 100x would be $1,000. It's at 150. 88 MPH could definitely do 100x. You know, and so I think that Ferrum Network. Some of these Polkadot coins, I know, Ivan, you like Darwinia, right? You like Ring, and I'm not sure if you're a fan of Katon. I think some of those, you know, Fala, XRT. Personally, I believe that if we believe Polkadot's going to succeed, I'm going to go out and say one of those coins, Fala, XRT, Ring, Katon, PCX, one of those has a really good chance of doing 100x, of being $1 billion market cap. If we believe that Polkadot's going to be a top 4, and we believe Kusama is already $1 billion market cap, and we believe in Polkadot, in order for Polkadot to succeed, one or more of those coins has to really do well. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably say out of that bunch, one or even more of those is going to do 100x.
All right, Ivan, what do you think?
Yeah. So Darwinia, we covered a lot during the summer. I agree with you. It's such a key piece of infrastructure, having a bridge to other chains. But there is one coin that I really want to speak about, and that's the one from Elliot Trades. He announced it yesterday, or actually today. Go check out Superfarm, man. I think that one is gonna. If you have any possibility, that one I would try to get in as much as possible. Not financial advice as always, but that one, because I know Elliot already for years. He's been working on it since 2017, maybe even longer. And great ethics, and also great use case, because I know that I myself will be using his product. Just like I said, the reason I like Utrust is because I use them every day in our business, and we're gonna use Superfarm as well because we have an NFT community. We need farming for that, and we will be using it. So Super Token is the one that I would say, but with 100% certainty that I will try to get in here.
If Elliot talked about it, yeah, then it probably will 100x. Right?
It is his project. It's his project. He built it. He doesn't just talk about it. He built it.
Well, that's we might be underselling 100x, maybe 1000x then for an Elliot project. You know, so again, Elliot also talked about MPH yesterday, and it went from 100 to 175 in like 2 minutes. So you know, if there's a guy that's gonna 100x, 1000x a project, and he's backing it, you know, Elio's one of those guys.
Well, number one, he's the hardest working guy in crypto, because if you watch that guy, he works all the time. Bull market, bear market, that guy was working. He was making videos. Not only was he making videos, but he was actually working on his project. I know how time consuming these videos are, and he puts out a video every day, and he's been building his project. And he knows the NFT market very well. The video game market he knows very, very well. He knows the pain points. He knows the mining very, very well. So for me, that's a winner. And if anybody can get their hands onto his token, I think the token's called Superfarm, right? Ivan, is
that's correct. Superfarm.
Yeah. If you can get your hands onto Superfarm, I think that there's 100 or maybe even 1,000x there. Guys, we are joined by MDX Crypto. He's a chartist. I'm sure you guys know him. He's joined us for a little bit of a banter. I'm sure he'll be giving us his recommendations. Guys, we are talking about 1,000x predictions. And I think or 100x predictions. And I think what I want to keep doing here is I want to keep educating people. So it's not only about saying what will go up, but tell us why you think it's going to go up. And I'm going to give you guys one of mine. I think that Bridge Mutual, which is launching soon, which is in the insurance space, it's a Polka starter project. Polkadot is one of my favorite platforms at the moment. I think we all have a lot to learn from Polkadot, because what Polkadot did was it managed to launch the Polkadot ecosystem before there was even a mainnet. Before there was even a Polkadot mainnet, they have this huge community of people building on it. And I think that Polkadot was one of the reasons for that. And if you look at the price, I mean, I haven't looked at the latest price, but the last time I looked at the price, it was at about 125. Let me quickly have a look at what it was.
It went higher than that. I think it even crossed maybe 150, maybe even yesterday. It's basically doing a new all-time high yesterday, and every hot project wants to do an IDO on Polkadot.
Yeah, so it's trading at 131 now. Remember, the first round investors got in at about 1 cent. So they've got their 100x or 1.25 cents. They've got their 100x already. But I still think that at a market cap of, say, 80 or $66 million, I think there's still room here. I mean, I don't think it's going to do a 10x immediately, but I think the concept is good. And Ivan, I watched Ivan's show the other day, and he said, whoever launches the Polkadot for Cardano.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. But that's the problem that we've had with Cardano now, that they have a huge community of holders, a huge community of supporters. They have
rect holders. You mean rect holders, right?
Depends on when they enter.
They have no choice but to hold. I mean, if we're talking about Polkadot versus Cardano, the Polkadot steps on Cardano. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, but what I meant in that discussion is that if they are to succeed, they have to have something like Polkadot. They need to launch coins that pump, that even perform well before the Cardano network is live. So that's the big problem. They have a huge community of holders, no community of developers right now outside of the core developers of Cardano. So I think that that's very, very important for them to do quickly. So that's why I said the next thing for Cardano should be like ADA starter or Cardano starter. They need to have their own Polka starter.
Well, guys, I mean, if you guys just seen, and Ivan, I know you're an advisor to Paid, right? Kyle Chassis started Paid. If you saw the announcement today, they're doing Paid Ignition, which essentially is like Polkadot, which allows you to get private sale and public sale access if you hold 10,000 paid tokens. Now, this is a trend started by Paid, right? So we saw Paid, and then we've seen pools. Now we're seeing, we saw Polkadot, then we saw pools, and now we're seeing Paid. This is a trend, guys, and this is really good for the space, because now we're giving people a chance. If you, first of all, you're giving utility to the token, and if people hold the token, you get to get in private sale. And that's one of the things, unfortunately, that we know that a lot of people complain about is, oh, everybody, these people get private sale. Now you have a chance to get private sale as well.
All right, MDX, I want to ask you, Cardano or Polkadot? I did a whole program on it yesterday. It's on our channel. At the end of the program, I admitted that my money's in both. I may have a little bit more money right now in Polkadot. Where would you put your money?
Yeah. Well, to be, hello, guys, as well. Hello, Ivan. Hello, Random Man. What's up? What's up? How you guys doing?
What's up, man?
What's up, guys? I would say probably for me, I don't own any Cardano. I don't actually own any Cardano because I used to be in the EOS space quite a lot, and there was a big feud between those two. I like Roy Hodkinson. I think he's great. I'll never pronounce his name, but it's not Hopkinson. It's Hodkinson, yeah. And I think he's great. I really like the way he speaks about his project. He's got good philosophy around it and that kind of stuff. But I'd have to say I don't actually own any Cardano, so I'll go for Polkadot.
All right.
Let me actually ask something. When you think of Cardano, what do you think of? Because I draw a blank. When I think of Polkadot, I think of Robonomics, I think of Darwinia, I think of Fala Network, right? I think of Polkadot, I think of Moonbeam, I think of Acala. When I think of Cardano, I get nothing.
I think better tech.
Because it's not a brand.
Technology. That's what I hear. It's got better technology with no development.
That's it. But hold on. Everybody's got technology. If you can't,
exactly. That's why I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that's all it's got.
No, and again, I know there are a lot of people, and who argue with me, and I did tweet on it, and I said Charles Hoskinson has done really nothing in 3 to 4 years. Look what Polkadot's done in just 6 months in their ecosystem.
Okay, but I'm going to.
I agree. And interoperability as well. Interoperability is big, I think.
I'm going to step in here and I'm going to say, look, with respect, Cardano hasn't got smart contracts yet, so it's very difficult to attract the developer community onto a smart contract chain when you don't actually have smart contracts.
Exactly. Yeah.
Polkadot was clever because they launched Kusama first, which is, let's call it not the main net, but very similar to what
incubation,
the test net, the little brother, the
little brother, and then they launched Polkadot, and that built a whole ecosystem. And I think that that's a blueprint for if you want to launch a blockchain. That's the blueprint.
If you ever got a DApp yet on your network, you're probably not going to win this race. You've got to have a DApp by now. Like, look, Ethereum's got like most of the lion's share of DApps, probably 80% of DApps are built on ETH. And there's only one which is actually doing any users right now, which is Uniswap. All the other ones are doing like 38 users a day, which is basically the devs, right? Like, so it's the race is still open, but
okay,
I think you've got to have a DApp by now. You've got to have one DApp at least.
It's very hard to have a DApp if you don't have smart contracts, but let's move on because I don't want to waste too much time on Cardano.
Yeah, guys, one thing. I see people in the chat trying to get super tokens. I just want to say there is no way to get them now. If someone offers you super, because the FOMO is huge with Elio Trade Super. If somebody offers you super tokens for sale, it's not legit
again.
Exactly. So there's no way to get them at the moment. Follow Elio Trades on Twitter, follow Superfarm on Twitter, and follow the developments.
Yeah, and if you can get your hands on them, legitimately, probably the best bet that you're going to take in 2021. Ivan, Uniswap or SushiSwap?
I would say Uniswap. I think that they're gonna revolutionize. They're gonna innovate. We have Uniswap version 3 coming out soon, and SushiSwap also amazing. See, I'm a bit more bullish now on SushiSwap because they have partnerships. Yearn Finance has now integrated them, I think. Yeah. So it's way more substance now than in the beginning, because in the beginning it was just a fork with more incentives, but incentives dry up. So I have to say I have changed a bit on the SushiSwap because we've seen clearer progress, and I think also they're gonna go cross-chain now to Polkadot. Yeah. So, but overall, in terms of ETH, what's gonna be big on ETH, I think it's still gonna be Uniswap because they have the innovation. They're the original founders. They have VC problem, yeah, that Sushi does not have. So let's see, but all in all, right now I would say I'm slightly more towards Sushi. I was way more before, slightly more towards Uni than Sushi, but way in the past I was way more onto Uni than Sushi. But I'm curious to hear your opinions as well.
Mr. Biz, SushiSwap or Uniswap?
No, it's Uniswap easily. It's got first movers advantage. It's going to take a long time for SushiSwap to even take a little bit of that market share. Now, Ivan made a good point. If SushiSwap is doing if they're going to be able to list Polkadot coins, I'd be shocked if Uniswap doesn't counter that in some way to figure out, all right, now we have to, can we also get Polkadot coins on there? Which, I'm not even sure if SushiSwap can do that. But for first movers advantage, everybody wants to list on Uni. I mean, listen, I've seen these other, Balancer, Loopring, and all these other places, but it's Uniswap for me.
All right, MDX, Uniswap or SushiSwap?
Yeah, it's like the others, man. It's Uniswap for certain, 100%. He's doing like $4 billion a day on a decentralized.
It's ridiculous.
I think it's $4 billion, something like that a day. And you got to remember as well, I think there's things like, and also like you can say that they're better than each other, but you got things like 1inch now, which just like take all of the liquidity from all of them and give you the best price. So it's all kind of the same freaking thing anyway. Yeah. Like you're going to see ones which are slightly bigger than the others, but then they're all going to merge eventually to the same kind of like fee rate. So I think it's all good. They're all going to just merge together.
It all comes down to who's going to have the better liquidity and the less slippage.
Because exactly.
And that's Uniswap.
And that's Uniswap.
Yeah, Uniswap. And I also think, again, it's the first one that integrates Polkadot. Because when one of them integrates Polkadot, everyone's jumping to that exchange that integrates Polkadot. But I think you made a very, very, very good point to say that with 1inch, it doesn't actually matter. The actual exchange just becomes an engine. All right, let's talk about another thing. So in the Oracle space, you've got Chainlink, which is the monster. And I think we can all agree that Chainlink is always a buy. You can just keep buying Chainlink with your eyes closed, just keep buying it, keep buying it, keep buying it. Because as the world and as the big institutions of the world start to use DeFi, they have to use Chainlink. So I think that's obvious. Is there anyone that disagrees with me around the Chainlink analysis? Is there anyone that wouldn't buy Chainlink?
No, Chainlink is king.
I own it.
Ivan?
Yeah, I agree. For me, the opportunity though is in the smaller oracles. I don't think any of them will replace Chainlink, but they don't have to. They have to get like 2% of the market cap, and it's good enough. And then you get 100x there already. Well, we had insane performance with DOS Network during the summer. I mean, that one is very small, but it's like Chinese Chainlink. When something is Chinese, it pumps. That's one of the cheat sheets you can have. It's like NEO in 2017. It's Chinese Ethereum, so it pumps. So whenever I look at the Oracle space, I don't really think anyone will replace Chainlink. So I agree with you there. It's a good coin all days of the week. But the opportunity is, can some smaller Oracle get at least 7%, 8%, because that right there is 100x potential. Band protocol also went from like $1 to $17 during the summer. Also Oracle API 3, I wasn't too big on that. It was a shame for me that I wasn't, but they also did well. I don't know how many access. And then then there's Ori. Which ones do you have, guys?
Ori already I think Rand, since I came on your show, it did a 4x, right? So it went to $50, went from 11 to 50, $20 million market cap. Kai is using them. They're going to actually look into a parity substrate, maybe even build a parachain on their own. Their founder was part of Ricky Soft, one of the largest tech companies in Vietnam. He was on a panel with Binance. So a lot of bullish things. They have a mainnet coming out. They have a tier 1 exchange, $20 million market cap. Their tokenomics, they completely revamped. So inflation is only, I believe, by November, it's only going to be a 10% supply increase. A lot of bullish things, guys. This community, you have to understand in all this. When you have the Link Marines, you have the Ori Samurai. People laugh, but like you need a strong community, right? And that's when I talk about Cardano being a brand. Like tech matters, but you need to have people in the community who are going to be with you no matter what, right? And I know, Rand, you know RSR, no matter what, RSR's got the Rangers, they're a strong community. So that's why I'm looking at Ori right now. And I personally believe that to me it's going to be one of the top gainers, if not the top gainer for oracles.
Yes, of course. And, I've been talking about Bird. Bird protocols are very low cap. I mean, we're talking about a market cap of about $5 million. We called it at $5. It's up at $50. It's a long shot, but it is cheaper than everybody else. MDX, in the Oracle space, where's your money?
It's all Chainlink, man. All Chainlink. And I got to admit as well, like, I'm not actually chasing the 100Xs and the 1000Xs that much. I've probably got more of my allocation in trading, because I'm trading every single day in the market. So I'm looking for those gains in Bitcoin, even because Bitcoin still moves freaking 15% a day, which is enough if you're losing leverage. So I actually don't have that many like 1,000. I'm not really like scurrying trying to find the little ones which are going to pop. I've got a few I do invest in which I think have potential, which I think can have 1000X, but I put it in there and I leave it. That's just my hunch. But for me, it's just like the top, it's Bitcoin and the medium caps for me. That's what I'm mainly trading.
Amazing. Okay, so tell us what are you trading today that you think has got good upside? There must be one or two trades that you got on your screen.
I've got it on my screen. Let's go on.
Show your screen.
So look, basically, let me. Can you see my screen now? Is it? Yep. So flick over.
Okay.
So I just wanted to show, because at the end of the day, a lot of people, they trade altcoins and then they don't look at Bitcoin. Obviously, you've got to trade Bitcoin and altcoins at the same time, because if Bitcoin dumps, the altcoin's probably going to get dumped as well. If it's below the top 100, it might not get that badly affected. Anything in the top 100 is going to get affected. So Bitcoin's obviously doing this kind of stuff now. But I did want to mention as well, guys, I think CRO right now is an absolute bargain. Let me just get this, change this 1 second to the normal screen.
CRO is crypto.com, which is a big crypto wallet and gateway into crypto. For those that don't know what
But this is a seriously constructive chart. We've got a buy signal on the daily moving averages, on the exponential moving average. So that means we've got a cross there. Also, it's swinging around, so you can see like actual visual, more buying pressure coming around. It's then broken its previous highs twice. It's got a bullish deviation of its first price and then its second price as well. We'll find a resistance here, but if this wants to start moving up, we're looking at the next level. There's nothing in between here and here. So when it actually gets above here, it's probably going to go back to the lid of the descending pattern. And then you've got to remember as well, this is not just a technical play, it's a fundamental play as well, because all these tokens are getting staked through actual utility in the platform. I know Crypto.com have a lot of the tokens to fire in the reserves, but then they're getting leaked out slowly. And also, the emotions can take over and it can just skyrocket anyway. So I think CR is a really good buy. 1000X for you guys, which you might not have heard of, is URS. Ultra.io, guys. I think you guys should be looking at this. Ivan, you should do a freaking video about this one, because the team's amazing. Unisoft, AMD, you name it. I think this is an absolute gem, Ultra.io. And it's gaming as well. And I think gaming is, probably one of the biggest spaces for blockchain in general. Like, gamers already have freaking in-game items they deal with. As soon as that's accountable on a blockchain, you can actually have a validation of it being a real item, NFTs. This platform has it all built in. It's like Engine Coin. You can mint tokens out of the URS token. And this token as well is just going to get staked. I reckon 80% is going to be locked up. The only tradable amount is going to be that top 20%. It's just going to go boom to the moon.
What's the symbol for that? Because a lot of our viewers are asking in the chat.
USD is traded on Bitfinex, which is a good liquidity exchange. But it's only on one exchange as well. So look, I do own a bag, but I'm not just saying to shield my bag. I'm saying this because I generally think this project actually has legs. I know some of the developers who moved over to it to develop on it, and it's got massive partners. So they're actually going to be distributing every single AMD graphics card is going to have a UOS Ultra.io login to their games distribution platform. So we're looking at legitimate companies with thousands of customers who are going to be distributing logins to the URS distribution platform. This is going to take over Steam, guys. It's going to rinse out Steam. Steam is over. This is going to take over.
All right, let's give us one more chart, then we're going to let you go. We're going to bring in all the callers. I can see the lines are full. We're going to spend the last 10 minutes of today's show with myself, Ivan on Tech, and Mr. Biz. And we're going to be talking altcoins and specifically 100Xs. We want to know what your 100Xs are. MDX, come on, give us one more. You must be watching one more.
I like this one. This is like 1,000Xer. It's got the dude
Really?
from... Yeah, I think this is all right.
I'm not convinced.
You don't think?
Oh, tell me why you think.
I only think because someone did it on my stream and I saw the guy from the Apple CEO was like on it. So that's the only reason. Obviously, there's no price discovery on at all, right? But the only reason I saw this guy was behind it. If he's behind it, he's probably got a lot of money and he's probably got a good team. So that's basically it. That's the only reason, Hunch. Don't know much about the tech, but we'll see.
Ivan, what do you think? What do you think of eForce?
I haven't looked into it, but I'm surprised that it's under the radar. Is it under the radar still? It seems like that.
It's on BitThumb.
It's very much out.
I got it. Someone posted it to me in my live stream. And I said, look, if this guy's behind it, it's probably going to do well. Like, it's just a big name, isn't it? It's probably going to pump. And then you've got no price. It literally came out 14th of December, so just in Christmas. So it could be a big one, but don't quote me on this one. I'm looking at it.
But Steve Wozniak is in other projects as well. I don't think that's the only one. Isn't like Vozcoin or something?
Yeah, Vozcoin. It's called W.
This is the one.
It's
the
W.
one.
It's an energy efficiency project, which I don't know much about it, but I think it allocates tokens for energy efficiency and allows people to trade energy or something along those lines. I have tried to get Wozniak on the show. I'll keep trying to get Wozniak on the show and let him explain it, and then we can do a deep dive into it. MDX, I'm going to let you go. We've got 10 minutes left. We want to take some more calls. We need to free up one room in the studio. Thank you for coming on Crypto Banter. Love your work, my friend, and we'll see you again next week because you've got a regular slot with us every Wednesday.
Yeah, man. I do motor my mouth a little bit, so get ready, random man. I'm going to be going for it, brother. But yeah, nice to meet you as well, Ivan. And,
hold on a second. It's Mr. Biz. It's Mr. Biz. It's not random, man. It's Mr. Biz.
Mr. Biz.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Biz. It sounds like you're doing some dodgy deals in Cayman Islands or something. But yeah, no.
Listen, if everything goes well, I will definitely be in the Cayman Islands. You believe that?
Yeah. Let's do this, people. All right, yeah. Nice to meet you guys anyway. Have a good one.
All right, now we're going to bring in some callers and we're going to let you guys banter with myself, with Mr. Biz, and with Ivan on Tech. And the first person we're going to bring in is Gustavo Vargas. Gustavo, welcome to Crypto Banter. Gustavo looks like he's gone to the restroom. Oh, Gustavo's back. Gustavo, you've been waiting for a long time, man. Let me get your microphone on. There we go. We can hear you. There we go. Let me unmute your mic. Let me try. You need to unmute your mic.
All right.
There you go. Amazing. What do you want to talk about?
You talk about one coin I think is really, really good is the graph. I think is undervalued right now. And I don't know if it's concurrent of like
Undervalued.
Yeah, I think it's undervalued.
I think I agree.
It's a really new coin, and I don't know if it's like a Polkadot coin or it has a own blockchain or something.
Alrighty. So, Ivan, what are your thoughts on the graph?
Well, I said that I've loaded the bags at 400 million. It shot up to like 800, then it fell to 400. Now it is like 600. And even at 400, I thought it was a bit too expensive for my taste. But as you know, I want the smaller ones than the big ones. But for me, 400 was good, fair value at that point in time. And I haven't loaded since. I think it's not too undervalued for me. I think it's kind of like where it should be right now.
I mean, it's not a $1 billion cap. Probably it's $1 billion. It's 600 million. So let's say you're looking at another 2x. I mean, I can't really say it's undervalued. I mean, it was 10 cents, my man. It was 10 cents and it went up to like 70 cents. So if you got it before it went on Coinbase, it was undervalued. Right now, I mean, I can't really see any reason why I would be suggesting to people to invest into the graph. As Yvonne said, there are much better investments from an ROI standpoint.
I think fundamentally, it's a great project. When I say
it's amazing project.
Yes.
it's as important to the ecosystem as Chainlink is, because you need a blockchain, you need oracles, and then you need smart contract data. And if you want indexed smart contract data, then the graph is probably the best place to go. And certainly if you look at the design of the graph, and we don't have enough time to talk about that right now, but it's one of the smartest designs that I've ever seen in every aspect. So something that I would hold in my long-term portfolio, but you're not going to do 100x there. Thanks, Gustavo. We're going to move on. All right. So we got
just a comment, guys. If I am to do one small shill, speaking about the graph, it's Parsec. I mean, I have Parsec. That one is doing a similar. It's like a reverse Oracle, and Parsec is only 126. It already did a 10x during the past few months, but it's only 100 million still. So yeah, I would pick Parsec instead of the graph. But I also have the graph because, as you guys said, it's quality. It's it's blue chip. It's a bit lower risk and great use case.
It's safe. It's a safe investment. If you wanted to go put a lot of money into it, it's a very safe investment.
We're not safe people, though. I think none of us are safe people.
I'm not. I'm definitely not a safe person.
All right, we've got Jay Trader on the line. Jay Trader, welcome to Crypto Banter, man. You need to unmute yourself. Okay, let's try and mute him. Jay Trader, you there? Yes. What can we do for you?
Hey, how's it going? So I want to know your guys' opinion on ETH. Like I see a big potential with ETH. I think it's going to go to the moon. With BTC, the blockchain's very limited to just strictly transactions. So I want to know your guys' aspect on what do you think Ethereum's going to go, and when do you think this is going to happen?
Okay, so did you do mathematics at school?
Pardon me?
Did you do mathematics at school, basic mathematics?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, amazing. So then it's very easy. There's an equation up on the board now. If you take EIP 1559 and you add CME futures and you add ETH's adoption, ETH is going to 10,000 before the end of the year. Simple. Okay, you've got a protocol which is going to reduce the supply of ETH called EIP 1559. It's going to make ETH deflationary. It means less tokens in circulation. Plus, you've got CME futures, which means that you've got more institutions paying attention to Ethereum. Plus, you've got huge adoption, as I showed you earlier in the show. You add that together, I say 10,000, Ivan says 50,000, maybe somewhere in between, but that's more or less where we're going.
Now, real quick, before you guys pull me out, there's a correction happening right now. Do you guys have any idea which support zone you guys think it's going to consolidate at, or do you guys have any clue on what's going to go on with that?
Ivan, maybe you want to answer that.
Yeah. I think we're gonna bounce between 30 and 40. Right now is the consolidation. We're consolidating between 40, 30, and in my mind, it's either gonna be a symmetrical triangle. It seems right now that potentially we're gonna print that on a bigger scale, on the daily scale and weekly scale. Yeah, especially on the daily scale. But I think we're gonna bounce from 40K to 30K and consolidate. And I hope we do, by the way, because this is what will give alts their rocket fuel. Alts need Bitcoin to consolidate. So if we consolidate at 35, 33, 36, we're here for a few days, few weeks, perfect. Alts will explode. But if Bitcoin falls below that, then it's not good for Bitcoin nor alts. But if we're between 40, 30, perfect.
And I think Ethereum, even Ethereum right now, like, below 1,200, if it goes to that level, that's a great time to buy Ethereum. I personally believe minimum 5K before the end of the year. If it goes to 50K, that'd be great. I definitely think it's going to go to 10K for sure.
Mr. Biz, what about Polkadot? Would you be buying Polkadot now at whatever it is, 16?
Yes, I would. Because you know what? I did a tweet a few days ago when it was 19. I said if Polkadot falls below 15, Polkadot is 14.9. I would be loaded up on Polkadot. I believe Polkadot's going to go to $100. I said this before. Polkadot is not on Coinbase yet. Polkadot is not on Grayscale yet. It's number 4 cryptocurrency. It will get on those platforms. It'll probably be 100 before it goes on the platforms. It's not even live yet. There's so many bullish things for Polkadot that, I mean, again, I think $100 minimum for Polkadot, right? And I'm heavy. Like right now, my portfolio probably about 65% Polkadot, ETH, Chainlink, and I have people telling me Chainlink they think can go to $1,000. I'm not even joking. These are non-crypto people in the business world telling me what they've seen with Chainlink. They think Chainlink's going to go to $1,000. So that's a crazy prediction.
All right, guys, listen, it's been a hell of a show today. I want to thank you guys both for coming on CryptoBanter.com. It's been absolutely amazing. I've had fun. The viewers have had fun. Ivan's smiling. I know Mr. Biz is smiling, even though we can't see him behind the avatar. So big thank you to you guys. And I think we should make this something like every week or every 2 weeks, just have a little banter and have some fun.
Yeah, man.
What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a pleasure being with you guys. Yvonne, Rand, thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you so much. I'll see you guys again, same time tomorrow, 10 a.m. EST, because I come to you like an atomic clock every day at 10 a.m. EST. I'll see you tomorrow, and if you are trading, my friends, trade well.
Crypto Banter is a social podcast for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers should not be construed as financial advice. Views expressed by guests and hosts do not reflect the views of the station. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research.